and it's a 0 to 10 exercise. And so what my question is to others is, as you look in the mirror, and it can be on a piece of notebook paper. This does not have to, be this long, drawn-out process. Just take 30 seconds. But all you do is you take, a piece of paper on a scale of 0 to 10, 0 meaning 0, not much, 10 meaning outstanding. How is your life going?
Right.
How's it going? Do you love yourself? Do you love what you're doing? And be honest with yourself. And also, how much energy do you have? Is it a 0 or a 10 or somewhere in between? These are some of the things that I've learned that kind of gets people thinking about, okay, wait a minute, maybe I do need to shift some gears in life. Maybe I do need to change direction a little bit, that kind of thing. So it's more of a thought process that helps with that motivation.
Now, Andrew, James is talking about the 4 steps to motivation. He's mentioned 2 steps. Can these 2 steps be used in your field?
Yeah, absolutely. With the standpoint of getting motivated and figuring out what specifically somebody wants to do if they're looking in the mirror and they may want to change how they physically look, how they feel, how their confidence is, they can find out specifically what they want to do. And then obviously they need to find a path, which would be to revitalize or reinvent and get a trainer, go to a gym, whatever it may be.
So tell the audience about who you are and perhaps a challenge that you faced in your life and how you've overcome that and come to the place that you are now.
I'm very curious, and I'm curious about that too. How did you get here? And you spent a lot of time in school, but what are your credentials?
Yeah, I went to Ferrum College, Southwest Virginia, near Virginia Tech. That was undergrad, and I did sports medicine.
Wow.
And then worked for a year as an assistant strength coach in Richmond, Virginia, then went off to grad school at Wisconsin La Crosse, and that's where I got my master's in strength and conditioning. Went a little farther west out to the University of Nebraska with their Huskers athletic department, and then moved back home and went to the corporate training world for a little bit and realized that a lot of people were going to gyms and not getting results, so I started my own education and activation business to help people lead healthy lifestyles.
Wow. And if you were using these 2 steps, Andrew, to get motivated, now I come to you today, need help with all of my health. And this is health. We're doing wealth and wellness, but hey, I need to get started. I don't know what to do. How would you approach a person like myself?
Well, really, I always have a consultation with somebody.
Okay.
So, we sit down and we talk about what specifically goals they have. Before we even do that, though, I've got to find out what they're eating. I've got to find out when they're eating. I've got to find out what their physical activity is like on a daily basis, what their job is like. So I take into account everything that happens from sun up to sundown with what they're doing to find out specifically where they might have cracks within their nutrition or cracks within their activity to better enhance their overall productivity throughout the day, whether it's at home chasing the kids or at work trying to be more productive for the job.
Okay. You're tuning into right now. This is Andrew, and this is James, and this is Melvina. And if you're just tuning in now, you're tuning into Comcast Channel 95 or Verizon Channel 36. And this is Seeds of Wealth and Wellness with my host, Melvina Goodman, and I'm Michael Edwards, Master Business Developer. Now, I want to ask you a question here. James had mentioned 2 steps. You would do a thorough assessment with an individual when they first came to you. Has there ever been anybody that you couldn't help?
Only the people that don't want it.
Okay.
So tell us a little bit about perhaps some reasons or excuses that a person may come up with to not make the commitment.
This is a fun topic. Excuses. Yeah. So, I really believe excuses are well-planned lies.
Oh, wow, great. I'm going to use that one.
Hold up. I got to hear that again. Say that again.
Excuses are well-planned lies.
Well-planned lies.
Okay.
And mainly, it's because if you think about your purpose and what you're doing, everyone could say, I'm busy. Everyone's busy. Time, money, family, church, anything you have in life could be an excuse, but if you really have a way to drive back to your purpose and figure out what you want out of life, what you want out of your performance, if I don't have time with my family, I got to find a way to make time or I'll never have it back. If I don't have the energy to play with my kids, I've got to figure out how to get my health where it needs to be in order to have that energy to play with my kids.
Malvina, that's
So
incredible.
anything is, we can overcome anything that we want to. Well, before we came on camera, we were talking about how we perceive certain situations. And we were talking about experiencing shortages in our lives. And so for us women, there's a statistic that says that there aren't enough men in the world. And so we have bought into that lie. There's not enough money in the world, but there, in my estimation, there is no shortage in the kingdom. There's no shortage. I may be experiencing a shortage, but that does not mean that there is a shortage. And so therefore that means that I need to think about what I'm thinking about and what am I focusing on so that I can come to a solution to overcome those excuses that I come up with, because when I make excuses, I paralyze myself.
And that's important too. Now, there was a famous quote, I say it's famous because John Maxwell had wrote a book, but there's a quote that I never forgot, Malvina and James and Andrew. And he said, in order to change the world, I must change myself. In order to change the world, I must change
Mike,
myself.
I could not agree with you more. When I started this process, it was over a year ago. I woke up, I was with my family, and I guess this has been over 20 years in the making. But now I'm putting it into action these past few months, the 4 steps to motivation. But it's really interesting because in anyone in a healthcare field, even if you're not in the healthcare field, anybody who's a caregiver or takes care of anybody else or is exposed to the hospital or the healthcare settings, we realize how much of a challenge this is. And we must take care of ourselves first. So here I am for the past few years, complaining, going into work. What's interesting though, I start writing this material. I start making small changes. I literally start living out these values and these steps. And the weirdest thing happened. Everyone else at work changed.
Huh?
Everyone else at work changed. Isn't that crazy? When I started changing myself, instead of seeing the problem out there, when I looked in the mirror and realized that it was me who had to change, that's when it seemed that everyone else changed.
And that's because your perception changed.
You
So
got it.
really,
And it was the most
it's
amazing
not,
thing.
It's not the people. One, I'm powerless over people, places, or things. And so I can blame if I
Exactly.
choose to, or I can choose to. This is in the early 90s. I was having a conversation with God as I understand God, and just being self-centered. And so God said to me, Miss Malvina, I just want to know, do you recognize that you're just a grain of sand on the beach? You're not the beach? I said, you got to be kidding me.
Huh?
I'm not the beach? No, you're not the beach. And by the way, while we're on this conversation, do you realize that in all the relationships you've been in, that you've been the common denominator? I said, you got to be kidding me. So God says, so are you trying to tell me something was wrong with all of those people, all the jobs that you've had, all the relationships you've been in, whatever these things might be, something was wrong with them? And so that caused me to retreat and really take a look at what was being said to me. It's like when you're the common denominator in that experience, whatever it is, I had to take a look at myself, and therefore my perception of my workplace changed, and therefore it seemed to change because I was able to take personal responsibility for my behavior.
Because it wasn't until that aha moment happened, it's like, okay, the excuses are over. And I agree, Andrew. I mean, there comes a time where the excuses are done. If you're going to meet certain goals, you're going to meet those goals. And that's it. That's the bottom line. And the blaming game has to be done. The blaming game is over. When I say done.
That's right.
We can blame all we want, but how many of us get what we want by blaming others? I can't think of one time in my whole life where I've ever gotten what I wanted from blaming other people. But it wasn't until I took that personal responsibility that things started to turn around. So as far as wealth, it's not always in a bank account.
That's right.
It's relationships. It's how you feel about yourself. It's looking in that mirror and feeling good about who you are and making sure that you're living that life. So wealth isn't always about money.
Wow. I wanted to ask Andrew a question too. There are quite a few seniors in the Richmond and metropolitan area. If I was elderly, and I'm maybe 60 or 65,
That's elderly to you? You got to be kidding me. Hey, 60, 65, that's still young. That's the new 20, man.
That's right.
well, if I was a senior citizen,
There you go.
if I was a senior citizen, Andrew, let me rephrase that.
We're going to push it.
Is there an opportunity for me to get engaged or involved with your business? And give me the name of your business again.
Push for success.
Push for Success. Now tell me, first off, tell me maybe a little bit about the mission of Push for Success, and then help me evolve that into how would a senior get involved with you?
Yeah, well, basically the way I have set things up, it's designed to educate and activate people in leading healthy lifestyles, because you've got all the education in the world, you can always find more information, and everybody wants more information. But if you leave it at that, everyone goes into this state of analysis paralysis, and they don't know what to do. So with how I have things set up, I've got educational classes that people can plug into, and then also I've got fitness trainings at a training facility. So they've got the education, and they can plug into that, and they can take what they learn, apply that to their lives, apply it to their lifestyles, and have that change completely everything. And then if they want the added benefit of becoming more physically active with me, they can. And some people think about, I'm too old, I'm a senior citizen, I'm over 65, whatever it may be. Age is never an excuse. They can start with walking, they can start with jogging, if they want to end up running a marathon or a 5K, maybe climb Mount Everest. They can do what they want to do. It's a matter of having a coach or an accountability partner to help them go along that process.
How would our audience get in touch with you?
Yeah. Easiest way to do that is to call 804-317-7633. Again, that's 804-317-7633. I do also have a Facebook page, which is just facebook.com/push for success, and then also pushforsuccess.com, but it is the number 4, not the word.
Okay, and so the website address would be www.
Push, the number 4, success.com.
Fantastic. And for you, James, what is your website address?
My website address is the same as the business name, www.grabmotivation.com.
Fantastic.
Grabmotivation.com.
And that's important. And Melvina, what is your website address, please?
My website is www.innerzones.org. Innerzones.org. And I want to just say we will be taking callers, and the number that you can call is 804-915-5202. So we'll be taking calls in about 3 minutes. So if you want to call in and ask a question or make a comment, please do so.
And so, and my website address is www.seed-institute.com. And our number at our office, for those who want to get involved in our workshop that's coming up that you'll be doing, James, is 804-355-SEED, SEED. That's 804-355-7333. And the date for that would be September the 7th at
September the 7th from 8:30 to 10:30. It's a 2-hour workshop for Grab Motivation, the 4 Steps to Motivation. Again, it's based on this book that I wrote. It's an awesome workshop.
It is incredible.
Anyone looking for change, anyone looking to shift life into high gear, anyone who's just basically not satisfied with the way things are going, this is the workshop.
Yes, it is. In James's background, he's a registered nurse. He was a police officer. In every industry he's been involved in, it required change, and it required motivation, and it required reinventing ourselves.
And discipline.
And discipline.
And the follow through discipline, yes.
And in Melvina's background, the same thing is required as well, too. In mine, I'm a business developer, and we help people with their corporate documentation and how to develop a business plan. And the same thing is needed, a plan an assessment, and a diagnosis. And traditionally in business, we call that a SWOT analysis: strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And it looks like all four of us actually get involved in that as well.